you guys give me if I kill that bird? Marvin, that's a bald eagle. Get away, Baldy! Yeah!
Hello! Good evening, and good evening. This is The Wort with Mike, Pete, and Steve, GubsRadio.com. Thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight on GubsRadio.com. Brand new website for everyone to check out tonight. Really appreciate everyone for checking us out. We're also tonight on Facebook Live. We are also on YouTube Live. And tonight we are here with our friend, our pal, Rob Raffa of Ubergeek Brewing Company. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, fellas?
There he is. Again, thank you very much for being on the show. We're going to kick it off really quick on our International Women's Day with our friends over at Rosie's Draft Solutions. Steve, take it away, buddy.
Yes, Rosie's Draft Solutions is a Long Island family-owned business that provides professional draft beer system services, line cleanings and maintenance, draft beer line system installs, event dispensing solutions, and more. They are extremely passionate about craft beer and making sure that it's the same quality as it left the brewery, and it's only done one way. You got to make sure those lines are perfectly professionally cleaned. And that's what they do. Rosie services bars, restaurants, halls, events, and all other beverage establishments, including home kegerator system installs and maintenance. They service the likes of buddies over at WA Meadworks, Blue Point Brewing, Darling Brewing, 1940s, and of course our buddies over at Hopscotch. You can reach Rosie's Draft Solutions at rosiesdraftsolutions@gmail.com or call them at 631-219-2075 Monday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Mention Wort for a special discount.
Ooh, you're going to get 10% off your order, service or hardware. Mention, of course, the Wort. Call Nick. You heard the phone number. Get it done. So thanks, everyone, for joining us. We're swinging over to Pete Trey. Pete Trey, tell us a little bit about our friends over at Brewers Hardware. Beer Maker. What am I talking about?
Beer Maker,
baby.
Beer Maker. Our newest sponsor, Beer Maker. It is all grain brewing on a countertop system. You can make a gallon of beer at a time. They've got recipes you can purchase and brew in your system. It connects to an app on your phone for iOS or Android. You can use your own ingredients. You can use adjuncts. You can dry hop. You can fucking double dry hop if the mood so strikes you. Right on your countertop, connects to your phone. The app will give you updates on what's going on with the system. Everything's self-contained to keep everything nice and clean and sanitary.
Tight.
You get updates on your phone when to add your adjuncts, when to dry hop your beer, and then most importantly, it tells you when your beer is done and ready to carb and serve. Fucking great. We're brewing it this weekend.
Yes, we are.
Go to Beer Maker.
Beer Maker on
Beermaker.com.
Instagram.
Or Instagram, wherever.
Either way, you'll get there.
MKR. Google them. They're out there. Lots of great YouTube videos. Do we have a promo code for them yet?
We are probably going to be getting a promo code and potentially a giveaway coming up in the next month or two. So we'll have it as part of our, summer bash as things start kicking off. And we'll have one to hopefully hand out to one of our lucky listeners. So stay tuned for that. Tonight, we're also sponsored by VintageBeerShirtClub.com. VintageBeerShirtClub.com for your vintage beer t-shirt. Go ahead and type in the promo code WORT, W-O-R-T, to receive a percentage off your first order. And moving forward in your monthly subscription, Get it all at vintagebeershirtclub.com. We're also sponsored by Brewers Hardware. Thanks a lot for Brewers Hardware for sending us some stuff that we end up handed out to our brewer guests. We have to re-up with him. I got to get back in touch with him, but we got some stuff to give out throughout the next few months, doing us great job out there at brewershardware.com. Thank you very much, sir. A couple of honorable mentions throw out there, Hartwell Wood Shop, and, of course, our buddy Mark over at Hopscotch Bottle Shop in Deer Park. Thanks a lot, Mark, for everything you guys have done for us in social media and the contacts we've had through you, and, of course, for holding on to and getting us the beer that we so desperately like, for instance, Ubergeek Brewing Company beers at Hopscotch. Oh, I thought you were going to crack it, Pete. That would have been crazy.
I did.
Oh, well, we didn't hear it, you son of a gun. Oh. Anyway, we have Rob Raffa here in the house. What's up, man?
What's going on, guys?
Ubergeek Brewing Company. We were there this weekend and inevitably we have to brag about it.
Brew.
We were there for the first brew under the new roof with the name, and you were extremely happy as how everything turned out. Before we get to all those brewing things that we watch you do, you sexy little man running around the brewery, just boom, 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 like Emerald in the kitchen. It's crazy. We want to start a little bit with you, kind of where you came from, because this is quite a journey that we've come to find out how you've gotten to where you are. It's a great telling story. So go ahead and let the audience know. And before you do that, again, if you get cut out on Instagram Live, which we are right now, go over to govsradio.com, and we are also live over there. Also Facebook and YouTube, but I like govsradio.com. It's a nice little new website. So, Rob, tell us about your journey, please.
Okay, well, you really hyped that up. Man, I really got to tell a good story now. So everything started probably 7 years ago now. And I got to give it to my sister. She got me one of those Mr. Beer kits.
Yes!
And, man, it was so bad.
Yep.
I did an Oktoberfest, and it was just, looking back now, I can just totally map out every single thing that I did wrong. Number one, I put it in the kitchen on a high shelf right above the oven.
Oh,
so just all that hot air, yeah. So I think I fermented my Oktoberfest, lagered Oktoberfest at about maybe 95 degrees.
That's about right.
Yeah.
That's not right? What do you mean? That's perfect.
That's how it started.
That's perfect temp.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So after that, naturally, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm going to totally do this for a living. Actually, that's kind of what happened. I was like, all right, I got to figure out how to do this right. I got to figure out what went wrong, and it bothered me so much that I just couldn't nail it out the gate. So I did what a lot of homebrewers do, and I just bought all the all-grain equipment I possibly could that my bank account would allow me to do. And I dove in and I brewed a double IPA, probably about a couple weeks later, and it came out to the gravity of probably about a pale ale. So yet again, really bad mistake.
Okay.
I think I louder.
Hold on. I think we may have lost you for a second there. Hold on. It's cutting out. Hold on, Rob. Go back to that because I think you cut out on the Zoom for a second.
Oh, how far back?
Yeah, just you said all grain and all that other good stuff. So something dropped out there. I don't know what happened.
Okay, well, so I went and bought all this all grain equipment, and I thought that was going to fix everything. And no, it did not. I brewed a double IPA, and it came out like a pale ale in gravity. And it goes to show you, you can have all the tools in the world, but you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it was after that I was like, all right, I'm going to read every single thing I possibly could read. So I went on Amazon. I just kept buying books after books and just tearing through them, looking at literature, just trying to see what was current in academia, just to get relevant and stay up on just newer stuff.
Right.
And then I ended up volunteering for a quick summer at Brickhouse Brewing with Paul Komzik, who's now the brewmaster over at Ghost.
We saw him this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, around that time is when I met Paul. which is kind of funny.
Nice.
And then also at the time, the brewmaster was Arthur Zimmerman at Brickhouse, who left to go to Colorado a few years back. So I did a summer with them, and then Mustache threw up a post of like, "Hey, we're hiring," and I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool." So I threw my hat in the ring on that one, and they brought me in, and they liked me enough that they kept me employed, and yeah, and I just kind of grew throughout the years there. I got to see the entire space evolve from the very beginning. I think I came on board when they were only open for a couple months.
Really? All right.
Yeah. So
Back
they
when they had
started
the little tasting room.
Yeah.
the tiny, yeah. If anybody remembers that tiny tasting room on the other side, like the southwest facing side, with the big garage door that was open. So the original Mustache, it started out kind of like a homebrew on steroids. We had those the boiler makers, those 55-gallon kettles with the extensions on the top. And I don't know if anyone's ever brewed with the extensions on the top, like anything new age, like anything with a ton of wheat in it or oats or rye. You're asking for a stuck mash.
Oh, no.
It is just that it is way too tall.
Yeah.
And
thin.
yeah, exactly. They need to be a bit wider.
Yeah.
So we did that for a few years. We ended up realizing that things are getting really good and we need more product. So we ended up getting this is good. We ended up getting 7-barrel fermenters. You're still using the 2-barrel Blickman boil kettles. So we're doing triple brew days just to fill these damn things. We bought 2 of them, and it got crazy. And then luckily CBC came around, and we were on the expo floor, and we saw this beautiful shell of a 7-barrel brew house. And we were like, oh, we got to have this.
Oh, yeah.
And there's actually a picture you can find somewhere online. I wish it was like one of those cool things I can be like, oh, and here's the picture. And it pops up. But I don't have that. But it's there somewhere. Maybe we'll tag it in something.
Nice.
I remember being at that CBC, and I was with Jamie Partridge, who used to work for me over at Barrage, and he was with Port Jeff. And we had heard that Mustache had purchased that system, and we went over to look at it, and we were like going to play like a joke. We were going to tell the guy, hey man, all right, we're going to give you an extra $20,000 for it, but you got to call them up now and tell them they can't have it. And we thought about it for a few minutes, like, yeah, that'd be funny. And then we're like, no, that would fucking be mean, bro. We can't do that.
They're already counting their cash. They're like, yes.
Oh yeah, no, especially like when Lori was like demon. As soon as we decided like, oh, we're gonna get this, they were like, okay, well, you got to figure all this shit out. And Lori's like, okay, and she's like calling up people, getting like logistics together, getting a freight company together to get this thing shipped. And I'm like, all right, I have no idea how to do this at the time, and I still don't even think I could figure that one out. But yeah, she was just like, oh, boom, 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 boom. All right, cool. We figured it out. We know how. Now we can get this thing over, and get it home. But so that system is actually the system that we currently now have in the facility. So it's kind of cool to still be looking at and using the brew house.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm getting ahead of myself. So we ended up using that system for a few years. And we ended up getting a lot more tanks in, a couple like 3 15-barrel tanks. Okay. And it definitely made our brew days so much easier, using a properly sized brew house.
Sure.
So we did that, and then it got to a point where I kind of wanted to start to do my own thing. And I ended up leaving Mustache at the end of 2018. And I started the Ubergeek brand, and it took me about a year or so to get all the licensing in place. I actually set up an alternating proprietorship with another local brewery, North Fork Brewing.
Ah, nice.
And yeah, so Pete and Ian over there took me in. And the great thing is that Pete used to be my assistant when I was at Mustache. So it's all just, everybody's all connected in the Riverhead area. I love the community that we formed out there. So let's see. North Fork took me in, and I started nomadically brewing. I would rent out time in their system, brew, package, and then push everything out wholesale. And I did that for about a year and like 3 months. And then I ended up moving into the mustache facility. And now here I am at 400 Hallett Avenue in Riverhead, and using a system that I've used for 4 years. I'm very intimate with. I know everything about that thing. And that's why, you guys came in on the first brew day, and I'm just running around, be like, yep, pull this, do this, do that. It just all came back to me that first brew day. It was kind of crazy. I didn't think it was going to come back that easy.
The number
you
of
seemed like you seemed like you didn't lose a beat. You were all over that thing.
The number of levers you have to move and manipulate is what baffles me. I know I see you. I was watching you. You're going, okay, this goes there, and then that goes there, and this, in your head, you're just working out the whole, signal flow. As an audio engineer, you got kind of do the same thing. All right, this one goes to that, and that goes to this, and this. So you're sitting there just crank, 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 and you did it like 4 times. I'm like, wow, how the hell does he remember that? Boom, boom, boom.
Well, here's the thing is, and I'm sure Steve can attest to this, most brew houses don't have that many levers. It's a little over-engineered. And I'm the guy that engineered that in the first place.
You deserve it.
So here's why. Here's why. When we bought the system, it was literally a shell. It was a boil kettle and a mash tun. That's it. And a deck. There's open ports coming out of both of those tanks, and we had to figure out the plumbing. So we had to get a heat exchanger. We had to get 2 pumps, one for the mash tun, one for the boil kettle. And then we got a whole bunch of soft tubing, and I'm like, okay, well, we got to figure out how to make this work efficiently and make everything flow the way we need to flow and be able to, do the processes that we want. What we want it to whirlpool. We want to make sure there's no cross flow, having things. I don't want, clean beer coming into contact with a pipe that already had beer that we loudered through or something like that. So that's why it looks so Susie. I call it like Susie and like Dr. Seuss, because it really is all over the place.
It does. It's great.
But it works. It works very well.
And so you have all those things just basically as safety levers. In case one thing goes there, you can quickly shut that off, stop that flow, move it from there to there. Your heat exchanger is in behind the brew kettle, right? That was what you were going to.
Yeah, so that thing is a pain in the ass. I love the heat exchanger. It's great. We got a 15 barrel heat exchanger. Actually, we oversized it. We just wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
Which is great in the future for when I, want to expand eventually. I can just get a 15 barrel brew house. I don't have to get the heat exchanger because I already have the heat exchanger.
Right.
But the thing is such a pain in the ass. It is so incredibly heavy and dense. Because here's the thing. Is when you clean them, yes, you can clean them with all the tubing and flushing back and forth, but you're supposed to pull it out like every 6 months and separate the plates and check for damage, check for anything. So in order to do that, I have to pull it out from behind the brew house, and you gotta put on a hand cart. You gotta have like 2 people moving this thing, and you barely even tip it back. It is so dangerous. Thing drops, you're going to lose a toe in a second.
You don't have much room to maneuver back there either, because you got a lot of other plumbing back there as well. So try to maneuver around all that. Plus the brew kettle itself is tight spot.
So
but
eventually, eventually we're going to move the heat exchanger in front of the brew house off to the side of the boil kettle, just to make it easier to clean. Because when it's back there, you really dread doing the proper thing, which is, your standard maintenance. But if it's in the front, I mean, it's not really a chore anymore. It just takes you half a day.
They always tell me party in the back, but that doesn't seem like a party to me.
It depends on how you look at it, man. No,
business in the front, party in the back.
No, unless you're a psychopath, no, it's not a party.
A couple people checking in on Instagram, New Jersey Beer Shares, saying hello. The Lady Brewsters. Were you with them today?
I was not with them today.
Okay, you did post a lot of pictures through Ubergeek, so I was wondering if you were even part of that, or at least being in there and hanging out. But they were on our show. Actually, they were the last show before the quarantine with Rob from Eastern Front. Who's the brewer at Eastern Front? The owner.
It was Eastern Front.
Yeah, it was Eastern Front. Doug, thank you. It was Doug from Eastern Front. And then, we had Michelle from North Fork, and we had Sheila from Long Ireland.
Yep.
And What I didn't quite see what beer they were brewing. Do you know what they were putting in the tank?
It was a orange blossom and I believe guava beer, but they can jump in and yell at me if I was wrong on that one. I've kind of like tried to take my hands off the reins on this. There are 8 breweries that are participating in this, and I'm very limited with respect to staff. So it's literally it's only 3 people right now that we're working with at Ubergeek.
Yeah, plus you guys just started brewing this weekend, so it's tough to kind of fill a tank right now when you got to get yourself up and running. Right. So we had our 2 other staff members. So Jeannie and Lisa were down there. Oh, cool.
And they were working as the representatives for the brewery. All the decisions are in all of their hands. I mean, I've been just standing on the periphery and just saying, "Yep, do what you want to do for this." So
Lady Brewster's checking in. They say it was a guava and orange blossom honey IPA.
Okay,
so there you go. You were right there with the adjuncts. IPA. Nice work.
Yeah.
And yes, they said it was Doug from Eastern Front. I couldn't think of his first name. I get so confused sometimes with so many people we've had in. Doug's a great guy. We, again, had them in right before the pandemic, and it was a lot of fun with the girls and Doug. Who else is checking in? The Brewsters Club is saying what's up. Our buddy Rob from West Babylon Superstar saying, yeah, buddy.
Yeah, Rob.
Beer Punks, 3 Punks Ales, Smallone, he's saying what's up. Captain Swami, sure. Lisa's checking in saying hi.
Nice. Hey, Lisa.
Heshish Schnob. It's a lot of shush. And GSP, I don't know who you are. And then, Steve Palminski's checking in. Very nice.
Yeah.
Hi, Steve. What's up, buddy?
That guy's an asshole.
Yeah, so you guys, had started this adventure. You kind of walked into this. Give us the background of how you acquired your space now, as we know, formerly of Mustache.
Yes.
How that kind of process ended up being the right time, right place kind of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, I was sorry, 1 second. I saw the fuzz like an hour ago, and I'm still trying to deal with it.
It's all that baby toy. All that stuff gives off the.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
The dander of the stuffed plush toys.
Whenever it comes to parenting, though, the answer is to just drink more.
Yeah. Agreed.
You know what? I'm working on that. I'm working my way up.
Owning a brewery will help. Yeah. So I think you're on the right track.
Right path.
Yeah, so I was producing a NoFo for a while, and I started seeing my demand was going up, and I was like, okay, this is starting to hit a point where it's not sustainable. Pete and Ian, their production was going up, my production was going up, and they only have a limited amount of space, so something's got to give. And what the easiest thing to give is me, because it's not my place. Yeah, and I'm very thankful for everything they've done for me. So I mean, I wasn't really heartbroken when they were like, it's getting tight. So it forced me, and this is the thing that I've said several times recently. I always get hung up on when life forces you in a direction, and I gotta say, almost every single time that life has ever forced me in a direction that I'm like kicking and screaming against it, it always works out so much better than whatever I had planned.
That's good. That's not a bad thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it is a great thing, but just in the moment, you're like, I don't like, no.
All the things I have to do.
I had it in my head that I was going to be at NoFo for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And just kind of like playing it safe and just like feeling out, doing proof of concept, and then maybe, getting a tasting room going. And then it was quickly showing that that's not going to happen. So I needed to think like, all right, what's, what can I do? And, I eventually I ended up going out on a limb and just approaching Matt and Lori and be like, hey, have you guys ever consider, like selling the place? And this was literally a shot in the dark. And, they were just like, and then eventually they came back and were like, you know what, maybe. So, we started talking, and, very quickly, we were in, negotiations on things, and boom, it just happened. It's been like the craziest whirlwind lately.
When did you acquire the space? Like, I guess legally and literally, when did you say, all right, this is mine now?
Everything was beginning of March. So
Wow.
what, 7 days ago?
Jesus
Okay.
Christ. So you were brewing
So
within.
no backsies official is what we're the stage we're in. No backsies.
Yes.
Yeah. This is no back. Yeah, no backsies, which is fine. I mean, I'm in my glory right now. We're cranking out. We brewed that beer on Saturday.
Mhm.
I brewed another beer today. I've got 2 more brews going in this week, and we're doing packaging at the end of this month, and
Nice.
we're going to be ready to open on grand opening April 2nd.
Couple
Yeah,
people
we're-
are checking in Shelter Island Pale Ales, or just Pales, saying what's up. Again, Rob over at Superstar is saying never hashtag never give up, never surrender, Rob.
Nice. Yeah, that's his motto.
Yep.
No, definitely won't.
And the folks over at North Fork, I'm not sure who's navigating their Instagram, whether it's Michelle or whether it's Ian or Pete, but they joined in and said, "Hey,
Oh, what's up, guys?
those
What's up?
guys, we've talked about it a few times, and this is no shot at Pete. Ian is a GD scientist. I mean, this guy is like Bunsen beakers everywhere. I'm surprised he wasn't wearing a lab coat on the show that he was on with us. He has so much knowledge. I think our show that night lasted about 3.5 hours just because of the in-depth analysis on things like yeast strains and cultivating and brewing processes. A lot of it was running over my head at the time. This was probably like a year ago, maybe a little more than. And, I've slowly absorbed a lot of it. But the amount of knowledge those guys have and to reach out and to help you along the way, obviously awesome for them and awesome for you learning alongside of them. How has that experience kind of changed or shaped the way you brew in your new space?
So, I feel like, me and the guys at Nofo, like we kind of cut our teeth all at the same time. And we're constantly just bouncing ideas off of each other. And I think the best thing that happened in the Nofo space during the alt prop is that it just acted as an incubator for ideas. I'd come in and be like, oh, I'm thinking of this. And they'd be like, oh, I'm thinking of this. What do you think of this? And you don't get that too often where you have 2 breweries that are so intimate together that they can just cross and share ideas and bounce things off of each other and take inspiration from other things that they've done, other beers that they've done, and be able to kind of cut around a lot of that, like pilot brewing kind of stuff. So, there's no pilot system there. And a lot of the brewing that I've done in the past hasn't been on a pilot system either. So when brewers can communicate certain things to each other, then like, oh, I've never used these ingredients before, and be able to help you out maybe with like dosing rates or some sort of synergistic effects, it goes a long way, just to make sure that your product is going to be what you want it to be in the end.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be almost, nervous, like anxiety driven when you have a 15 barrel that you got to fill and you haven't tested out in the pilot system. You got to trust a lot of what I guess Pete and Ian know from their system, plus what you brought along with your experience to make sure that what you're going to do isn't just a total waste of money.
Right. Yeah. No, you gotta just lean on your training. You really do. And, I'm sure that goes for a lot of other fields. And given enough time, I mean, I've been doing this long enough that I feel very comfortable jumping in on, just kind of shooting from the hip on something and just kind of crafting on the fly.
Yeah.
Granted, you come up with something weird, some really weird ingredient or
like pure Idaho?
yeah, like pure
like
Idaho.
That?
And,
Maybe some pure Idaho malt?
It
took
took
you long enough. 31 minutes.
Take you 31 minutes, Steve.
You're gonna have to go ahead and elaborate on that, Steve. What's the inside joke for the audience at home? And really quick before you go into that, Tim Saliani's checking in on Instagram. Sham Max checking in on Instagram saying what's up. Tim wanted to be part of the show and asked for a video request, but Tim, I can't go back and forth with you on my phone. It's only a one-way street on this one, buddy. Sorry. Tim could be on the show anytime. Just ask, and you can come on any show that you want to hang out with a guest on. It's all good. Just send in your questions or go ahead and throw some comments, and I'll read them on the air. So go ahead, Steve. Explain to us.
So this past weekend when we showed up to see Rob and just do a little impromptu, some little questions before
We call it pre-production
we
in the
wanted
field.
to do the show.
Yeah.
It just so happened too, Paul Comstock from Ghost is there, and we're all buddies. And him and I are talking on the side, and he just looks down, and I look down, and we both look at each other like, what the fuck is pure Idaho malt? We had never seen this malt before. And of course, we were like, was it potatoes? What the fuck? What's in this thing? And so now that's going to be, and actually I had to laugh because yesterday Rob sent me a picture of him milling in the pure Idaho. And I was just like, and it just so happened also at that moment, I had gotten a text from Paul. And I said, hey, and by the way, this is what Rob just sent me. He was dying. He's like, yeah, pure Idaho. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's grain that's grown off of Idaho potatoes.
There you go.
So what is that like?
Of course it is.
Yeah, well,
No,
but
it's
I
not.
don't kind of understand. So you have a potato, but it grows a shoot out of the ground, right?
No,
And then
All right,
they
so-
come in. They cut
but you
it.
need
Alright.
Matt Damon to grow it in his own shit.
Oh,
Right.
there you go.
The Martian
So
references.
here's the deal. Where the pure Idaho came from. Pure Idaho, I'm sure some of you guys, the homebrewers, may be familiar with it. It's from Great Western supplier. And the reason why it's in my brewery is
The reason why
I got
it's here.
suckered and bamboozled into buying it.
No, all right. So here's the thing: is right now I've been in a transition where I'm making a certain amount of beer, and I've been making a certain amount of beer for freaking 15 months, and now I'm jumping in volume, like by probably about 6 or 7 times. So there's a supplier that I currently work with, and I sent him an email like, "Hey, here's what I'm looking for," and it was like, "I need all this Pilsen malt, all this stuff." And he's like, like you don't normally order this much. I'm like, no, like we're off to the races right now. There's a lot of things going on. So he's like, all right, well, I've got this pills for you. I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, and then I got to cut in some of this pills to make up the amount that I need. I'm like, okay. He's like, and then last I got this pure Idaho Pilsen malt. I'm like, okay, do you have any other? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's take it. So,
Did he give you a rundown on what people are using it for? I mean, I'm sure you could just look it up and what people are substituting it for.
Oh no, he just said, "Oh, it's $50-something a bag. Here you go, you sucker."
It's no, it's just a standard malt. It just happens to be extremely expensive. But in that moment, I'm like, all right, beggars can't be choosers. I need this malt right now.
Yeah.
And luckily in future orders, that won't be a problem because now everybody knows, like at least my suppliers know, like, okay, you're gonna need this amount of this kind of grain, and
Now-
maybe I'll just get a token bag, 1 bag of the pure Idaho.
Just keep one around all the time. Just
Yeah.
keep that one around.
Save the
what
bag
I'm gonna
itself.
do? You know what I'm going to do, Steve? I'm going to send it to your house.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you a 55-pound sack of pure Idaho.
And we can put it
Between
in the
the
beer
rugged
maker.
Sawtooth Mountains and craggy Grand Talons lie golden fields of barley perfection. It's here to the west of the Great Divide, where we craft our renowned pure Idaho malt.
There you
I
go.
gotta give it to them though. The back of the bag
Yeah.
is really nice. They've got like it's a really nice bag.
I've seen
And
people
that's what you
turn.
look for in your malt is
Yeah.
a really nice bag.
Well, I've seen people turn malt bags into actual like recyclable to-go bags.
yes.
So that'd be really
that
nice.
was South 40 was doing that.
Oh yeah, that's right. They were South
South
40 was
Jersey.
taking their malt bags and I guess they were sewing it together and creating.
Yeah.
That just takes time. I don't understand how they had it,
Like
but
a
I
beer
guess
quilt.
yeah. I think his wife or his girlfriend was taking all the empty bags and turning them into to-go
Yeah.
bags, which is really cool for like recycling.
Oh.
And they're really sturdy. They're really
That's
hardcore.
upcycling. It's
Right.
upcycling.
That's true too.
Yeah, we're gonna be taking our grain bags and using them as trash bags, just to give them one more use.
Yeah.
There you go.
As they should.
You know.
So Laughing Monk Brewing is checking and saying what's up, and then Rob over at Superstar says, "Send it to Steve's house, a full pallet, a full pallet. We'll use it in the beer maker for every base malt that we need."
There you go.
There you go.
And for the next 15,000 recipes we do.
At
Hey,
a gallon at a
Rob,
time.
Are you a microbrewer or farm brewer? What license did you keep?
Yeah, so I am a farm. I'm going to also be a combined craft very soon. So
Okay.
getting all that mixed in.
Now, I know prior to the pandemic, people that were waiting on their licensing and their certifications took a while. Has that let up? Is it easy to get it now? Couple week turnaround, couple month turnaround. What's it looking like?
It's hard to say. I'm not in the process right now of like the extended process. It's still about 6 months.
Okay.
What I do know is that the change of my license from NoFo over to the Mustache location was very quick because you're already a licensed brewery, and Mustache already had all of their materials that the SLA would need. So it was a very quick process to get bumped in there.
And what's the difference between a craft license and a microbrewer license?
Yeah, so there's the microbrewer and then there's the farm. I feel like the lines on those licenses have blurred over the years. And I see that smirk on Steve because he knows what I'm talking about. Is in the beginning, the whole appeal, all right, the farm brewer license is the whole design of it is to promote agriculture,
right,
and to keep everything locally sourced to New York State. And I think originally when people were getting that license, they used it for another reason, and that reason was that it allowed you to serve pints in your tasting room.
Really?
Originally.
And prior to that, you couldn't. You could only do tasters.
Right.
Really?
So you had to get around it by being like, oh, buy this glass and it happens to come with beer.
That makes sense.
I remember that, bro.
Yeah.
I remember that all too. I remember we were just open and we had opened in like, I want to say like March, right in that range. And all we could do were growlers to go and little taste. And then that December, Governor Cuomo had passed a bill that you were able to serve pints. But yeah, breweries that were already open were like, well, I can't sell you any beer, but if you buy this glass for $12, you can keep it, and it comes with a free beer in it.
Nice. Done.
So,
and then I'll refill it. It just so happens that
continuously.
Yeah, throughout the day. You know what? Out of all the stipulations in that farm brewer's license, I didn't realize that was in there. I don't think I remember it not being pints in the tasting room.
I don't think that's come up.
And it's funny because I don't remember a time where you didn't, but yet I've been going to breweries for 10, 12 years. So
I think one of the bigger things besides it's also you get some tax relief.
Yeah,
is you're also able to sell any New York State liquor,
spirit,
any New York
or
State wine,
right?
any New York State cider, and that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, normally if you're serving liquor, you got to get a whole nother license on top of what you already have.
And the fact you can open a second, even a third location too, right? That was the big one.
You can open satellite tasting rooms.
Yeah, I think that was a draw too for a lot of the bigger guys that could do Greenport, for instance. Having their main facility out in Greenport and then going into the Peconic area was a big deal for them because it increases space for storage, increases revenue for drinking, all that stuff. Just means
it helped out St. James because
of course,
St. James wasn't allowed to open a tasting room where the actual brewery is.
Yep.
So by having that, I mean, obviously now where they are now, they have a great tasting room.
Yeah.
So
good spot, good place. Rob, I did see some of those New York spirits at the bar. Are you going to continue possibly having that on part of your repertoire there?
Yeah, we will. So Better Man doesn't know this yet, but I will be reaching out to them.
They know now.
They do now. We're able to have New York State farm distilled products in there, and I think Mustache was doing a really good thing with having a very short list menu of cocktails.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing that. We're also playing with some other ideas with respect to using interesting ingredients, not just with the spirits themselves, but also with the beers that we produce and some other options.
Yeah, like beer cocktail kind of stuff.
Right.
Exactly. I could see a nice little bit of rum going into this tart ale here, and
sure.
I mean, there's so many possibilities. I mean,
if you got some right now, throw it in.
I might. Let's see what I got here. I got Malibu.
Why don't you put some brandy in there?
Nope. I'm gonna pass on that. I got some Tommy Bahama. You can throw that in there.
Yeah, throw a little bit in.
I could throw it in there and see what happens. I don't know how much New York State rum is being developed. A lot of potato vodka.
I have not seen any rum.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of sugarcane plantations.
Right.
In New York State,
It's
so.
hard to pick up on those. The weather isn't quite what it should be here on Long Island
Actually,
to grow
I lie now.
sugarcane.
I believe Sag Harbor does a rum.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, they might import maybe everything and then just distill it here. That could be.
Hey, Rob. So everybody knows if they had gone to Mustache, in the tasting room, you're going to actually kind of make it your own. Tell us what you have planned for the tasting room once it gets open.
Yeah. So to answer that, I got to backtrack a little bit. We're going to be having the grand opening April 2nd.
Nice.
And I've had a couple of people come up to me and they're like, how are you doing this? You're flipping this in a month. And the easy way to say this is, the facility is a turnkey. Everything is already there.
Yep.
The brewer house is already set up. Everything's already plumbed in. And not only that, I've used it for years. Then there's the tasting room, which is technically already set up. I could have opened up the first day. I could have opened up March 1st. I already had some beer and kegs. If I really wanted to, boom, we could have just opened up. What we're doing for this first month is I wanted to get some other beers on the menu. So it gave us a little bit of a buffer of about 3.5, 4 weeks for us to modify the mustache, the ex-mustache tasting room.
Right.
We're not going to be knocking any walls down. We're not going to do that because then you have to submit, drawings, architectural stuff. And we don't want to do that. I mean, you guys know how it is, and right now
time and money.
Is money,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody's got it really. So what we're doing is we're more doing a cosmetic. We're repainting the walls. We're adding flourishes, and
Probably taking down any mustache signs.
Yeah,
That seems like it.
Yeah.
We'll throw up some of our own branding, and then we're gonna just open. And we made a post probably a few weeks ago, and what it says is that we want to be able to bring everyone fresh beer right now.
Right.
And in order to do that, we're going to open up very soon. And I think that everyone is going to be on board with the fact that they get to see the whole space evolve. We're starting with the walls are going to be branded to the way that we want, and then we're going to be adding elements that are really indicative of our brewery. We're going to be working with local artists, and especially Ricky Sayeta, who is he used to be established 1981, who's now goes by Ricky TV.
Ricky!
He's a local artist out in Greenport, and he does some wonderful work.
Nice.
Yeah, he's done some work for Lucharitos, for Nofo Doco.
Yes.
And he's gonna be pretty much working for us for like the next 5 years, putting in awesome installations all over the place, stuff hanging from the ceiling, stuff off the walls. The space is going to be really immersive, evocative, cathartic. I want people to walk in the space and let the space be their own entertainment, just mentally and visually stimulating.
A lot of your beer can art kind of already speaks to that. You've had a very noticeable and identifiable brand going on besides your logo. Are you going to try to follow through a lot with those, cool, like technical, atmospheric feels? Mm-hmm. Like, what do you think for the walls, besides maybe just like you said, your branding that you're going to have?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I that was such an intention from the beginning, is just to make the brand purposeful. I wanted it to be a certain way right from the start, and I didn't really want us to kind of like, ebb and flow, just kind of figure out the brand as we were going.
Yeah.
So we spent several months with our graphic designer, Mike Everett, and he helped us design this wonderful concept. And we're going to definitely be carrying forward, like what you see on the cans is going to be represented in other elements on the walls. Like, we just dropped What If We Nuked the Moon? That beer.
That label.
I love how that beer came out. I love how the label looks, so much so that we're going to steal some elements from that can art and throw it on the walls.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good one. That'll be aesthetically stimulating.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I've also, other things, like I was chatting with Ricky about installations that we can put in. And Pete, you have the Space Age Time scan, right? Is that, or is it Steve? It's got it. There you go.
Boom.
So that thing in the middle with the ribbons going around it. I was chatting with Ricky, and he wants to now make something very similar to that with lights coming out and hang that from the ceiling and have those kind of being just above you, just kind of drawing your eye up. So
That's
this
cool.
is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And we kind of just want to break the mold of just that cookie cutter brewery feel, not for the sake of doing that, but for the sake of just, I don't know, giving people something different. And,
Almost like being at the planetarium.
It could very well be. We
That's-
kept talking about doing some work with fiber optics, so that
Ooh.
might pop up at
That's
some point.
cool.
No.
Can you imagine a big fiber optic wall where it just changes, or
It's gonna get crazy. It's
possibilities.
gonna get so weird, and it's gonna be awesome. I keep talking about I was telling Matt and Lori, like, I didn't want to knock their office down. Originally, I'm like, oh, I'll knock it down just to make room or whatever. But I feel like there's so many other elements like that office, like, can turn it into an area that's kind of like a duochromatic feel, where there's like purples and blues, and that's the only color assets in there. And to be able to furnish it just with that color palette, and I feel like it's mentally and visually a little trippy to just kind of be surrounded by that. You don't normally get that in your normal world. And that's kind of what the brand is. It's forcing you in a direction that is a departure from the normal.
And if anyone hasn't been out there or has been out there and has seen the tasting room, whether it be on social media or in person, you won't believe the amount of space Rob has to work with. Once things start moving along here, there is a tremendous amount of opportunity here to really expand the tasting room, to get, like you said, different vibes, different feels throughout the space. We were talking early on Saturday about, having that garage door and that side space open. You got some really great ideas for that too, and it'd give you like a really cool vibe, especially in the non-20 degree days. But even so, just being able to kind of walk outside, get that nice natural light coming through. Tell us a little bit of plans for things like that.
Yeah, so the building itself is enormous, and we'd like to find a way to maximize it to its potential. And I got to show you guys the whole warehouse side, and there's like an alleyway that I'd like to turn into something. But I feel like what's going to happen is we're going to figure all this out come summer, and it's going to be beautiful and awesome. And then what you were saying about sub 20 degree temperature, we're going to hit a problem when winter comes, because I don't know how we're going to heat all of this.
Right.
It's going to be fine in the summer because we'll have the two garage doors open, cross breezes and big fans moving air, and then winter's going to come, and we're going to close everything up, and we're just going to be handing out freaking blankets to everybody.
Hand warmers. Everyone gets a hand warmer.
Everyone gets a Ubergeek hand warmer. Exactly. Now, we'll eventually figure something out for it. I mean, there is a
great deal of potential.
There is the ability to heat it. They're already in there. It's just, I'm thinking of the cost is going to be astronomical.
Well, you build over time, like you said. You wanted to have your audience and your customers come in and see the place evolve. That's probably a year or two down the line if everything goes according to plan, and that is really what most breweries are thinking. They're thinking out the potential, but right now think about the realistics and case in point, as soon as you walk in, you got to start working on that space first to give everyone that first impression, and then move beyond that.
Right. Exactly. And I'm never short on ideas. I'm always there's always something that I've got cooking. I'm like, I want to do this. I really want to do this. And it maybe, I would say 85% of the time it actually manifests itself. So I'll take that.
If something bad happens, then just go with it, because apparently everything works out in the end.
That's right.
Apparently, I'll just keep rolling with that.
Yeah.
Now, where did the name come, Ubergeek? How did that come about?
Oh man, so there's just two theories that I'm going with here. So originally, that was actually the name that I chose for my home brewery. So if you search like Ubergeek on Untappd, there's a home brewery in there, which I'm trying to get them to remove, and they just won't, because there's like a handful of check-ins and they don't want to ruin it. So they have me like
let everyone have their badges. They can have to keep their badges and just get rid of that.
Yes. So I originally named it that, and I feel like the name just kind of came out of left field. And I was like, oh wow, that I like that. I'll roll with that.
Yeah.
Originally, I think that the name was very like inward focused, like oh something about me maybe. And then now the brand has kind of evolved, and in my head of what I want it to be is to be much more community focused. So I'm kind of more, this is the second part, the second explanation for it is I think that the Uber Geek itself is going to be the community itself. I want to foster a community where you get people who have so many different interests, and they're able to find a common space that they can collaborate and become better than their separate parts.
Yeah.
So that itself is the Uber Geek.
I would consider the three of us beer geeks at this point, just from the amount of beers we've tasted, amount of places we've been. I mean, you're right. That's how the community evolves, and people start
I'm just a beer
small.
douche.
Yeah, you can call it that too. It doesn't play well on Instagram, so we'll keep it with just beer geek.
No, it doesn't.
No, I tried the Instagram handle 3 douches and a beer, and it didn't work. Someone already had it, and our podcast did not work out well, so we ended up with the Wort. So it probably was worse in the end, but it works nonetheless.
Yeah. So I definitely want to shout out Norfolk Brewing Company, because that's what I've been drinking right now is Hold Me Closer Tiny Lager. Very delicious, but I just finished it and I want to move on to the next one. So I can't move on to the next one without saying what I was actually drinking.
The North Forks has got ridiculously great beer, and to be part of that process, like I was asking before, you had to pick up on a few tips and tricks along the way that they were implementing. I'm sure it was a communicable, communicable, kind of process and what you guys were able to do. Did you, or were you able to kind of take some of their brews influences, and have you ever kind of implemented that into yours? Like if they were doing a saison, you're like, yeah, I'm going to one up that, and I'm going to do it with, blackberries or something.
No. I don't know. Maybe we don't actually vocalize that we're one-upping each other. Maybe it's just kind of, it just happens. Like, I don't know, I did this.
Yeah,
What do you think? But I gotta say, this is one thing. When Pete and I were at Mustache, we were very clean and orderly with the way that we worked, and we thought that was very important.
Okay.
And to making proper beer and non-infected and decent beer. Well, Pete left us and then went and started North Fork with Ian and decided to take that mentality to a whole nother level. I don't know if anybody's ever gone to the brewing side of North Fork. You could eat off the floor. Yep. It is the cleanest brewery I have ever seen. And it puts even in the mustache space now that I came back home, like in my head I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh, like I gotta be cleaner. I gotta be cleaner, even though I'm very clean to begin with. It's they and I think
Howard Hughes moment.
Yeah,
it's the combination of in my opinion, I think it's a combination of what what Pete and I worked on when we were at Mustache, and then you take Ian's lab experience and you mash them together, and then you get this just sterile floor, like everything is immaculate.
I walked in when I was out there last year, prior 2 years ago over the summer, and their walls, I believe, are white or a very bright color, and there is no staining on the walls. Not like one of the tanks exploded, or they had like a raspberry, a sour IPA, and it got on the wall, and it's almost impossible to get out. No, everything is perfect, in order, and spotless. You're right, absolutely. It's one of those things that I picked up immediately. You would notice the minute you look at it. You go, wow, Are you kidding me?
Absolutely. So now that I'm back home, the prodigal son has come home to 400 Hallett Ave. I'm now looking around already, and I'm like, okay, what do I do to one-up Pete and Ian with cleanliness in this place?
Hand sanitizer at every tank.
Everything. The entire brewery is going to become aqueous. Everything's going to be everything's going to be submerged under sanitizer. All the brewing, everything. And then I'm just going to look at them and be like, top that.
Not a bad idea.
Now, you know what? And this is how small the brewing community is on Long Island. So Rob, you were obviously you worked with Mustache, and Pete was with you. Well, Ian interned with me for a short while, and for a small moment, Rob almost became my assistant brewer. So that's how this it just. We were talking about it with Oyster Bay last week. How you got Ivan up at Whitman, and then you got John over at Dubco, and
Ivan's at Myers.
I'm sorry, Myers, right? And John's over at Dubco.
John's checking in on Instagram, by the way, saying hi.
Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Johnny.
And Frank's got Noble Savage, and so it's just kind of crazy how the Long Island brewing community kind of like everybody kind of either has worked with each other or has helped each other in some way, and I think that's probably one of the coolest thing about Long Island.
Yeah,
it's absolutely crazy, and yeah, I'm surprised, Steve, you didn't mention in a month actually. Steve Kaminsky is going to be coming on board as the head brewer of Ubergeek.
You let it out. Why did you let? Now I got to give notice.
You're leaving Blue Point?
Yeah, I got to tell Blue Point I'm quitting now.
John actually says, if you don't paint the ceiling with beer at least once, then do you actually brew beer?
There you go.
So my ceilings are 30
he didn't
feet
comment
high,
with
so
Triclamp for president.
Yeah, Triclamps all day. Yeah, Rob, you got ridiculously high ceilings, so if you reach your ceiling, you got a bigger problem than you probably want.
Yeah, that tank must have been highly pressurized if I can get that ceiling. And then if it stains, if it gets there, it deserves to stay there forever.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't clean it off.
Battle scars all day.
Yeah.
Steve J. Rogers is checking in. A bunch of people are coming in and out of the live Instagram view. We're probably getting more views here on Instagram.
Really?
John's like, challenge accepted.
Yes, he is. Dubco will have brand new sour IPA stains on the ceiling tomorrow. Stout stains. Nothing but stout stains.
I better see it in the stories, John.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of the stories, you've been releasing a bunch of stuff over the last few days, and of course we've been kind of over there and sending stuff out as well. Your new brew that you guys did today, because we kind of know what was on Saturday, and we'll go over that in a little bit. What was the thing that you were looking at today? What did you kind of brew? How did it go? What was the marks that you hit? Was it just as good as the high fives we were giving out on Saturday?
No. You guys came on a perfect day. No, today was the day of me cursing at the system. Sometimes you can get really cocky after a first brew back in your old facility, and you just kind of say, yeah, second brew, I'm just gonna just wing this one. Yeah, no, I was working on just doing a standard, fruited beer with a ton of wheat in it.
Okay.
And I
Sour
thought
IPA.
it was a good I thought it was a good idea to not throw rice hulls in.
Oh yeah, because those are really expensive. You don't need to put those in.
Yeah, you know what it was, Steve? I saw the bag, and the bag was so buried behind other bags of grain. I'm like,
wait, was it underneath the Pure Idaho? Is that?
No, those weren't in the way. No, I already used all of those.
Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be great, and like it's not that big of a grain bill. No, so I got a stuck mash. I didn't realize it until we started loudering. The Voroloff was fine, everything was great. And then the lauder starts, and it goes for like 15 minutes, and then it just trickles. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So it was going, so it was a 4-hour lauder. Not proud of that. But it was moving. It moved.
So what would have been the could you have stopped, kept temp, and then changed out parts? Like what would have been the end all fix?
There's you could either keep with it and hope that it fixes itself, which is the route I went.
Okay.
And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Today it didn't.
On your system, can you backlet? Can you
Yes. So okay. I can underlet, but that's the other way that I didn't really want to go, because I'm like, if I underlet, then I'm gonna have to Voroloff again to clarify the thing, and let me just keep going. Happens. And then the problem is you get too far in, you get too deep.
Yeah.
You get an hour and a half, 2 hours in, you're like, if I should underlet, but then you're like, no, it's gonna fix it.
I'm almost there.
I'm almost there. And also, here's the problem: you underlet, you're also adding in more. And all right, so a lot of brewers and home brewers will hear this and get this. Is if I'm an hour and a half in, and I'm pulling off all of this great this great sugar, everything's good. Actually, sorry, scratch that, forget that. So in the very beginning, probably about 10 minutes in, before I've even started sparging, I'm pulling off this great, this really nice thick wort.
I don't have my sounders. If I were in studio, I'd have sounders.
Unprepared.
I know. Well, when we get back in studio, it'll be a lot better. Couple months.
The problem is like if I'm to underlet in the middle of it, now I'm diluting it. I'm adding more water into it. And the problem is that you're not getting that great first running coming off, and you're starting to dilute it, and you eventually do it enough times, you might end up getting a reduced inefficiency because you are taking all the highly concentrated sugar and you're mixing it back through all the way to the top of the grain bill in the mash tun.
Right.
So that's something I didn't want to do. And I should have. I absolutely should have. It would have saved me some time. I mean, I got home in just the amount of time that I needed to be, but it probably would have saved me another 2 hours, hour and a half of my day. Yeah.
Cut into your drinking time.
Cut into my drinking time. But so use rice hulls. Use them.
Yeah. So you were able to salvage it, though. You're able to get into the tank. It's fermented now.
Yeah, I was. Actually, this reminds me of a worse story.
Oh, boy. Worse than that.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me take a sip of... I'm
going to need it for this one.
So I'm drinking Mischief Maker by Ghost.
Oh, love me some Mischief.
Belgian double IPA.
Love
That's
that
a very
one.
good one.
It's one of my favorites.
So let me get a sip of this before this story.
I actually, I had a friend in the neighborhood. Shout out to Rocco. One of the friends of my kids' parents, and he randomly walked into a Whole Foods or one of those and bought me beer. And knowing we went to Plan B over the summer together as a family with their family, had a good time. And we're not like super friends. We haven't hung out like together other than that trip. And he went and got me a Belgian triple. And I drank all four of those last night, not realizing they were 10.5. And I did not wake up happy today.
Yeah.
And I'm right back on the sound. I'll get it if we have a moment after the show. I'll show you. But it really just says Belgian brewery or something. It doesn't really say specifically. But it was delicious. I love a good Belgian. And Ghost's Belgian double, because it combines the elements of a Belgian with that double IPA feel. Oh, it's so good. It does a great job on those crazy, blends of different styles, which is so much fun.
Right. What I got to give Paul credit for is, there are these hypey trends that a lot of people just love to follow, and Paul finds a way to honor them, but still stay true to what he knows and what he's great at. And he loves using Belgian strains. He loves using 3711, like a French Saison strain, and just working it. And he comes out with these great concoctions, and they're not just hops in your face. Yep. It's he finds a great way to layer yeast and malt, and I gotta give it to him.
And most of the time, it's not hops in your face. Even East Coast Ghost isn't a juice bomb or a West Coast. It is a great balance of the grain bill he used plus the hops that he chose. It's one of those things that I appreciate. Like you said, just carefully concocting things that are just not trending but yet delicious.
And it's good to see him being successful by still being different.
Yep.
And not saying here's 5 hazies that all are pretty much the same but have different labels.
Yeah. I figured out what this person's name is. Captain Awesome. It's just no vowels, and I guess he says the Sacred Wheel Brew collab with Ghost was one of his favorites. So that was a good one too. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Here's a little teaser. There will be something coming down the pipe with Moi and Ghost near the end of the year,
shit.
resurrecting an old barrage
Yes.
beer.
Does it have to do with barrels, Steve?
Yes and no.
Oh, okay, and no.
Slutty barrels? Are they barrels that may have been passed from brewery to brewery?
Oh,
Those barrels will be, there'll be something done with that, but there is another beer.
oh, so there's 2 beers. You trying to
Basically,
send
yeah.
us off track?
All right.
Interesting.
So, Steve, what beer can we resurrect? You and me.
There you go.
Oh.
What has he got left? What has he got left somewhere laying dormant?
There are many things that
Lions, tigers, and bears. Lions, tigers, and bears. Say lions, tigers, and bears.
Please, go.
we and another teaser, Moi will be over at Sand City resurrecting an old beer in the coming weeks.
You just now you just forget it. You're like, I'm gonna stop brewing, and now all of a sudden you just got 3 different things on the schedule that you're just gonna be
All the fun with none of the liability.
Yes. At the end of the day, I walk out and have a good one.
Bye. Thanks
It's like being a grandparent. Like you get all the fun of hanging out with kids, but none of the fucking
Give
responsibility.
it right back.
And you take this child, I'm going home.
John says, I'm okay now. Please and thank you.
Well, that's
fuck.
I
that-
actually-
yeah.
and another little teaser.
Oh, God.
I actually had a conversation with someone from Dubco about resurrecting another beer.
Jesus Christ.
The one of the beers you brought the first time we had you on the show was I'm Really Not Okay, which was an IPL.
Yep.
Blew my fucking mind because at that point I didn't really like I thought I didn't really like IPAs, and I had that and it was fucking delicious. And here we are.
There we are. Rob,
And now come Friday, we'll be brewing something on the beer maker.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll have our own can with Art. Thank God. Jesus. If you brew with everyone else but the people on your show, we probably get a
Seriously,
little more.
how do we get a ticket to this fucking fun brew day?
Jesus. John sending little emojis like, I wonder what's going on. Rob, so we were there for the first brew day. Let's get right into it because we want to know what was put into that tank on the day we were there. Give us a little breakdown of what you were brewing, what you put together, and what the plan is for this beer.
It looked wonderful in the boil kettle. That's all I know.
Yeah. Honestly, I wish I had some more bells and whistles for it, but it's fairly simple. It is, we're going with a standard Bohemian Pilsner. It is actually the lowest ABV beer that we have done to date. Everything that we've done wholesale has been 8% and greater. And this one's going to clock in at about 4.1%. So
Nice.
Super sessionable. I'm sorry for everybody who finds stuff in wholesale markets, but that's actually going to be an exclusive just in-house.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Because honestly, and no offense, but in general to the industry, it doesn't move like it should in distributors and in places because of what it is. It just, no one wants a 4%. They want a 6 to 8 to 9%, and that's just what sells right now.
And they don't want crispy boys.
Right.
I'm
well,
a fan of
besides
those low ABV beers.
Yeah.
Not like 2% or anything like that, but 3-4% under, anything under 5, I think is, especially in the summer, you want to knock back 17 of them.
Jesus. Rob would love that. That means more supply, more demand.
Yeah, you have fun with that, Pete. But yeah, no, I wanted to give people an option that's not, like, I don't want people coming to the brewery and like, oh, I can only have two beers because, they're above 8%. I'd like to give people something that they can sit, enjoy, and that's slightly more sessionable, especially now that we're getting into warmer weather. It makes sense. Now is the time for me to do things like that. Yeah, look at that. All right, so that's the
Ubergeek and North Fork collab.
Yeah, that's
that's
half of the collab.
It feels evil, even though the beer does not look evil. It looks exactly the way I like it.
Yeah, it is dank. It is thick.
Yep.
Yep. I'm gonna get right into this. Again, cool can art. I mean, just that like tech. Almost. I don't want to do it injustice by saying it looks like a rave, but it has that feel like, it's neon lights and things are going crazy. It's just a very cool concept art.
It's so thick it looks like it blocks out the sun, Rob.
Because it does.
She's a dirty bitch.
Ooh.
Yeah.
OJ. Lots of OJ. Breakdown, because I started with the, we're going to go into the beers. Essential Mint Down is a vibe. Give us this, because I enjoyed that a lot. Again, another nice, thick, fruited, juicy ale, I guess. Give us the rundown of all that.
Yeah, so that's our fruit tart beer. It's an existential meltdown as a vibe. We wanted something that was going to be juicy, but also had a little bit of slight pastry character on the back end.
Yeah,
very subtle in the background because it's raspberries, blackberries, and then we threw in a little bit of vanilla in there. We didn't want it to be just like boom, pastry, like pie kind of feel, but I like using some subtleties in beer when it comes to something like vanilla or hops that give you a little bit of onion garlic. I love okay. This is something I love being able to take hops that have an onion garlic character and mix it in with beers that have a like really big tropical fruity character, but use the onion garlic as like a smaller, like a slight note in the background. Because I think that what it does is it elevates those beers to a greater level. Sometimes, and I feel like people can echo this, is a lot of fruity tropical beers can be a little bit one note.
Yep.
Where it's just like, oh, fruit, cool, fruit, awesome. But if you can have a little bit of a dimension of throwing in some onion garlic, where people aren't like, oh, that's onion and garlic, but they're like, oh, there's something else going on.
Yeah.
It's a little bit synergistic.
Like a spice, like a little like hit of your tongue, and you're like, oh, it just caught me there. What is that?
I think it can elevate it to a different level.
And a hardiness too. That's like, besides the potential thickness of what you're doing, that kind of fulfilling mouthfeel. I don't know if even that's a thing. But when I was drinking that, what I did like even more than that, because I'm a big fan of those fruited, very juicy sour IPAs, the tartness. I mean, really the tartness is what makes it. It balances out all that sweetness and makes it very drinkable.
Yeah, no, it's definitely got a good amount of tartness. It's got some tannins. I feel like the blackberries really brought those along as well. We're going to be working on another variant of that. We kind of want to keep the Is a Vibe series going for a little bit until people stop saying vibe, which is probably going to happen tomorrow. So I'm kind of fucked.
Is it wrong that when you said tannin, I immediately thought of Buford Tannen from Back to the Future 3?
No, that's not wrong at all. That's great that you.
No, it's
Who
not.
you calling Yeller? Love me some Back to the Future. Sorry, every time I hear Tannen, I'm like, Buford Tannen? I know him.
So we're going to be doing a different variant of that with mango, pineapple, and vanilla.
Shit.
Yeah, so I think that'll be fun. That will be available during the grand opening.
Nice. Oh, that's something to look forward to. Because that was
we're
delicious.
We're going to try to run with that series and keep doing different fruited variants. It's something we're playing around with. We'll see how much we like it, and then we'll see what happens with the with the project.
You see, Captain Awesome is on my wavelength. He watched Back to the Future 3 yesterday, he says.
It's the best.
Boom. It was. I honestly love that better than 2, even though 2 people don't like as much, and some people say that's the best one.
If you say better than 1.
No, not better than 1. It goes
leaving.
1, 3, 2 for me. 1, 3, 2. Because I like the Western element. I like the cosplay, I guess, if you want to call it that. And I like the fact that was shot in New Mexico and in, of course, a soundstage in California, where they probably still have some of that at Universal Studios, I believe. Some of that town is still existing in pieces and parts. Great movie. Love it.
Hopefully
Loved
it burned
that.
down.
Shut up. I love Back to the Future 3. You son of a bitch. Marty McFly is my hero. Playing guitar in front of those huge amps, getting blown through the wall. Such nonsense.
I'll refer you back to the name of the beer we're drinking.
Yes. Every hero needs a villain. Love it.
Yeah, so I do want to talk about that beer, actually.
Yes,
we got to talk about this.
Do it.
So North Fork and I, we got together and we wanted to do... I'm not going to be very specific with certain names just for legality reasons, I guess. I've kind of been a little vague. But we wanted to do a nod at someone that had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And it was somebody that kind of was a really... it was
famous
a force
person
that
or a
held us
local guy?
together.
Was it a famous person or a local guy?
Oh, a famous person.
Oh, I'm going to start guessing. Go ahead.
I'm still alive.
Okay.
Oh, Steven.
Yeah. So this person really like glued a lot of brew days together for Pete and myself,
Mm.
and we wanted to kind of have a little homage to that person, and that's where this beer came from. So what we ended up doing was we crafted a recipe where we kept a lot of the ingredients the same. We wanted the roots to be the same since Pete and I had very similar roots, and then take those same ingredients, but try to find a way that we can come up with two radically different beers. But when you drink them, there's so much similarities between them, even though the final ingredients that we used are not the same at all.
So they used different stuff and they had their own release.
Yeah, so we did two different beers. Mine was Every Hero Needs a Villain. They did Every Villain Needs a Hero. So we did the same grain bill, both of these beers, exactly the same grain bill. And then that's kind of where the similarities stopped.
Okay.
Everything after that, because it's kind of we're telling a story with this. Pete and I started the same, and then we kind of branched off and did our own thing. And Pete ended up throwing in fruit into his. I ended up changing up the water profile, throwing in a lot of different dry hops into that. And as you can see, if you pour them next to each other, even visually, they are radically different. So it was a really fun experiment. We've gotten a lot of really nice attention from it, and we might do it again in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, it's not a bad concept, especially since, again, right now, calling back to your roots of brewing there and contracting there. And, of course, doing another release where you can do, possibly even now 2 spaces, trading places kind of thing. It would be pretty cool to have something like that, out for. And, again, tie into both you guys who are now both in Riverhead and within, 10 minutes of each other maybe, if not less.
Much less. I can get to Pete's place in a minute and a half.
Wow. Okay. I almost stopped there on the way home when I left you. I was like, I gotta go home. I'm gonna get in trouble. Shit.
No, they're a great place.
Fuck yeah.
But I feel like this beer is the spirit of what we're trying to do is make things purposeful.
Yeah.
We did this beer, and not only was it, hey, we just want to pay homage to this person. We went deeper into it. We're like, okay, how do we really just tie this in so it's part of us? It's visceral. It's something that we really connect to. And we were like, all right, we're going to design the beer around something and tell a story with it. So here we are, and that's the story that ended up popping out of it.
Now, outside of the grain bill, what adjuncts were used here? I mean, don't give away the farm, but what should people be kind of looking for when they're sipping on this?
Don't give away the farm. Ooh.
No trade secrets.
So here's the thing. Is I'm sure everyone's seen the back size of my cans. I kind of give away the farm.
Yeah, a little bit. I was just looking at it. I went,
so much so that I don't like to give away any more of the farm.
All right. So to reiterate,
all right. So you can hold on to one sheep. Just give us some of the farm. Don't give us all of it. And keep the one sheep back.
So just to kind of go into depth here, Rob, you're using 2-row oats and wheat in your malt. You're using a Zaka, a Galaxy, Mosaic, and Vic's Secret. Love all those hops. Lots of the hops. You're using a nice little yeast ale.
It's Steve knows Galaxy.
Oh yeah. What's the yeast ale? Is it a very specific number yeast, or is that the thing that you want to keep close to your hip?
There are numbers that are associated with said yeast.
I love it. I like to answer.
At least I'm giving you a ballpark.
Yeah. There's some numbers there, like 103, 04, 405, or 6. So pick one of those and you're good.
Yeah. Just if you start at 1 and you end, get to 9 and then you include 0, just take those numbers, any combination. Yes.
Oh shit!
Wow.
So folks at home, if you're watching,
is that scary bottle?
So I'm going to throw it out there that anybody that's moving into a brand new home and they see a jar, hold it up again, Steve, and they see a jar sitting on a shelf that looks anything remotely to that, do not throw it out. Don't drink it either, but do not throw it out because you have no idea what could happen there.
We have to talk about that.
Yes.
So that is a mason jar that contains a very special strain of yeast that Matt and I were holding on to for it's been several years. And I was surprised to see it still on that shelf. So much so that like when I saw it, I said to Matt immediately, I'm like, oh, we're gonna throw that on a stir plate and prop this up and get this yeast going again. And I feel like a lot of people out there are like, oh, why would you do that? Like there must be like, genetic drift or so many issues. Why would you want to use that strain? Here's why. That strain is a strain of Kvike. It is a Voss strain that Matt and I got years ago straight from the Voss region. And it made one of the best beers I've ever tasted. And we did it as a member tap. And I think it flew so low, like under the radar. And I would love to just bring that beer back to life and just not even that beer, just bring that strain back to life. Then the reason why you can is this the strain of yeast. It's kind of well known that the people over there, they take this strain, they do some really weird stuff with it that nobody would do in the right mind, I think. But they would brew a beer and then they take these woven rings and they dip the rings into the fermented beer and allow the yeast to cake on it. They also throw like flour on the ring too. And then they hang the rings up on the wall and they dry solid. And then like 6 months later, they'll brew a beer again and they'll pull that ring off and inoculate the beer with that ring.
Yep.
So, and then and then that beer is brewed, it ferments out the proper way it's supposed to. So that's why we've held on to the strain, even though most people would have thrown it out long ago, because we're curious that, to see if it can be propped up and still make a proper beer just because of these generations of being treated in that manner.
How would you guys acquire that in the first place? Was it something you shipped away for? Was like mail order bride kind of thing with yeast?
You'd have to ask Matt Spitz to get the full story on that one, but I'm pretty sure it's one of his friends has a friend that lives in that region.
Really? Crazy. Yeah. So did
he
go undercover in the middle of the night and just grab one of the rings?
And just run.
Just run through the fields. You're not getting
Shove it in your pants and you run.
Yeah. I remember when it came in this tiny little vial.
Yeah.
And we took it and propped it up and eventually made a batch out of it. And then that's what's left over. So that's got to come back to life.
How much of that do you need to prop it up again?
Depends on the batch size, really.
Yeah.
I'd really be curious, but I do want to, talk to, I'd like to talk to Ryan over at 27A.
Oh,
because that would be an interesting beer to do a collaboration on using that strain. So Ryan, that
one,
that.
He's got some of those strains too. He kind of experiments a lot with stuff.
Yeah, he does a ton of stuff with Kvike strains. So yeah. I think that he might be interested in that project.
That's a collab in the making. I love it.
What's interesting too, from different parts of the world, the stories go back, as Rob was just saying, these rings. Well, in England, it was the wooden paddle would be just hung and it would be reused to stir. They had no yeast. They didn't know what yeast was, but they knew the paddle, where after they used it, the beer would start fermenting. And each like town or village had their beer making paddle. And, God forbid something happened to that. You weren't making beer anymore.
Sisterhood of the Traveling Paddle.
That wood was inoculated with that yeast.
Yeah, I mean, it would form like rock candy, I would imagine, right? It's just basically crystallizing on it and hardening up. And
who knows?
it's wood itself is so porous.
Right,
these are microscopic cultures that are just embedding themselves deep into the wood, and all you have to do is just a little bit of that, and it gets distributed in there.
Yeah. You've had so many releases since you started doing the nomad thing or the contract thing, whatever you want to call it, and the things that you've been coming out with over the years have been unbelievable. Give us some of the highlights over the last few years of stuff that you've released that, really works. I know Space Age, Times has been one of the highlights of the brand, and I love it. It's one of my favorites. What else has really kind of hit the marks and really shown itself to kind of help create and build the brewery?
Sure. So yeah, I do have to touch on Space Age Times. That was the first beer that I made under the brand, and that really was just me pulling together a bunch of stuff that I've always wanted to marry, and it exceeded my expectations. I was so overjoyed with that. And especially if you get in a really good crop of hops, a good crop of Idaho 7 and Mosaic.
Yeah.
Oh, that beer is...
Or maybe even some pure Idaho.
Pure Idaho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Throw
pure
that
Idaho.
in.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just
I think you
throw a
need to
little
do an all Idaho beer now.
Ooh, single malt, single hop.
bit. Ooh.
No.
Yo,
We'll see.
the Idaho Smash.
Oh, there you go. I hate
If
this
you're going to pay for it, sure.
Nope.
Well, here's a question for you. Ready? What would that cost me?
What would that cost you for what?
Ballpark to finance that. If I wanted to finance that, let you brew it, what would that cost me?
An all Idaho.
Yep.
An all Idaho. So a pure Idaho with an Idaho 7.
Yep. Let's say.
Well, considering that the pure Idaho is expensive as all fuck.
That's okay. That's all right. I'm just curious
I would say
as
you're
what
looking
that
at
would
a
be.
few grand going on right there.
All right.
Yeah. I would say
Why don't we do an all Idaho on the fucking?
No. I want to hear what my pure Idaho and my Idaho 7 would be. Single malt, single hop.
You're looking probably at about $1,000 for a 7-barrel batch of something that's like good and palatable, like that's got a good amount of hops, good amount of Idaho, good amount of potatoes.
That's definitely what I want for all my beers. Good and palatable.
Good and palatable. Yeah.
What would my ABV look at for something like that? All depends on kind of.
I could get you up to 8%.
Really?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me get back to
Idaho
you.
7's not that expensive anymore.
No, I'm not kidding. I do it just to do it, just to be.
And it has to be called Idaho.
Idaho, and the hoe would have to be like the Jamesport,
hoe that you
the
take your green out
Jamesport.
with.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Idaho.
We'll put that in the maybe.
I like how horrified.
Yeah, no,
Rob is by this
I'm more
idea.
leaning towards the yes category. If it was about $1,000, and all right, let me throw that on the
numbers.
schedule. Hold on, I got numbers here. Hold on, write this down.
As
This is
my
when you need a soundboard for the adding machine.
Yes.
Noises.
Mike, as my tasting room manager likes to say, let's workshop it.
Okay, yeah, exactly. I like
There
that.
you go.
Yeah, we'll
I
toss
think we
it
need
around.
to do a beer maker version of the fucking.
See,
First.
See,
Yes.
Rob, can you do me a favor? Yeah, let's start a GoFundMe, Captain Awesome says. All I'm probably going to need is probably like maybe a half a pound of that pure Idaho.
1,000 milligrams.
1,000 milligrams. There you
yes.
go. And we can do it on the test pilot batch of Beer Maker.
There you go.
And then we'll see how that comes out. That's actually not
that's-
a bad idea.
That's fine. I have a partial sack in the brewery right now. So
Yeah, we
shit.
saw them.
Steven, you have the Beer Maker. We're going to make this happen. I want to try this out
What's that?
before.
4 pounds,
Well,
right?
what's very interesting, actually, I've been playing around with a bunch of stuff that they offer, and Beer Maker actually has it's a DI, to do it yourself.
They have so many individual ingredients you can
Bro,
buy.
you can actually have a software where you punch in what grain you want and what hops, and it weighs out. It tells you how much you should be putting in
Really?
for the system, so you don't
Jesus
fuck
Christ.
the system up.
This place is,
It's
It's gonna be a
unbelievable.
lot of fun.
It's pretty cool, man. It's. I already did Nerd Girl with it.
You son of a
Get the
bitch.
fuck outta here.
You just got it 2 days
I
ago.
punched in all the shit, and I'm like, I can make Nerd Girl. Like,
how big is it?
God, can we make a batch of? Oh God,
It's the
can we
size-
bring back Barrage beers 1 gallon at a time?
it's probably the size of like a big like
Bread maker.
toaster oven.
Yeah. I give it
Okay.
that. Yeah, toaster. Like a pizza maker.
But it sits up a little higher.
It's tall. Yeah,
Um,
right.
It's. I mean, I took it all. I actually, once we get closer to it, I took photos of just taking it apart, taking everything out of it, so people can actually see.
Cool.
This is me looking at my desk and thinking like, well, I don't need a phone, nor do I need this thing that holds like scissors and pens. Like it'd fit here. There's an outlet
It'd fit.
nearby.
Hey, well, Pete.
Cat5 connection if it does hardline Ethernet too. I mean,
Pete,
I'm sad.
There's
I
a
mean,
missed
I,
opportunity here.
Yeah.
You guys could be producing beer right now.
Yeah,
while
we-
this show.
Steve has probably already done it. We don't even know it. He's already produced it.
It's on the coffee table in front of him.
There's
right
already
now.
a gallon of yada 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 fermenting.
well, Pete, we're going to
Son
be
of a
sharing
bitch.
this. I have it first.
Yeah.
is not going to stay in my house forever.
Yeah, this is going to be like the traveling pants, right? Sisterhood of Traveling Pants. We're going to pass it around. We'll all try our own beers, and we'll make a whole little thing
Hey,
of it.
you know what? You know what time it is?
Uh-oh.
It's time for
Steve's questions.
to ask those questions 3.
Bum, bum, bum. I still don't have a
You're like
jingle.
the fucking troll in fucking in
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
What is your favorite color?
What is your quest?
What is your quest? Find Holy Grail.
Didn't that guy have a fucking stupid name too?
The knights that say knee.
No.
And
the
then
fucking bridge troll. Wasn't
bridge
his name
troll.
like Bob or something?
Yeah, something like that.
So,
All right, Steven.
Rob,
Take it away.
it's the time of the part of the show where I ask 3 questions, and I can give them to you one at a time because that usually is the way it goes because everybody forgets the other 2 after I ask them. So, what was the first beer that like broke your cherry, like craft wise, that you were like, oh, this is what it's all about?
Ooh, man. Okay. So I got all right. So I can tell you a story about a beer that broke my cherry, but it wasn't like, oh, this is what craft is all about. It was more like, oh, I can't handle this. So
Yada yada yada.
When I was in college, there was a really cool beer bar that was in town, and you would go in the back, and there was a printer, and you get to like punch in your code, and it would print you out a list of all the beers that you drank in that establishment.
Really?
And you get to like, it was kind of a cool concept.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
I have a secondary story on this, which I'll go into before.
Wait, where'd you go to school?
Albany.
Okay. All right. So it's in the Albany area. All right.
Yeah. So originally when I was in Albany, there was this bar, and you'd go in the back and you'd print this out, and when you drink the beer, they would cross it off. Cool. And you'd come back, and when you print out your stuff, it would be in the bottom like, oh, it's been crossed off. You've already drank it. Like they update the system.
Okay.
And there were certain tiers you'd hit, like, oh, you get to like 50, you get to 100, and you get these things.
It's like Untapped, but only in receipt form.
Yeah, you get like, oh, you get a T-shirt, you get a mug, you get
that's
this.
cool.
Like Untapped, but not lame.
Right.
There
Right.
you go.
It was way ahead of its time, and I ended up leaving Albany with having 48 check-ins in there. And if I hit 50, I would have got that T-shirt. And I'm still.
You should have went back as an alumni.
You're annoyed at that, aren't you?
I'm very annoyed.
I'd be pissed. Like I'd be like, well, I can drive up there
tomorrow,
go back 2 nights, and then I can get those 50 check-ins.
Mm-hmm.
It's just 2 beers. It's one night.
Here's the thing: is I don't even know if the place still exists.
Because
like most people can attest to, during college, you don't always remember the place you're going into, especially a place that you frequent that often.
Yep. Well, here's the deal: you have to get drunk like in Beer Fest, and you'll go right back to where you were.
Probably. Actually, I kind of know where it is. It was right near where Brugger's Bagels was on West, right over there. And I really hope somebody's tuning in that knows exactly what I'm talking about. If somebody can throw up the name, that would be amazing.
I'll monitor Instagram. But by the way, Michelle over at North Fork says that she loved the fact that I knew the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants reference. I have a 10-year-old, Michelle. That's the way it works around here.
She gave him pants.
Yeah, fair enough.
I've actually never seen the movie, so I'm just assuming it's a thing.
They all wear the same pants? Or?
Yeah, they do. They it's life
pants,
stories, and they trade one pair of pants.
Shut up about the pants. I want to hear about
right
the beer.
About the pants. America Ferrari's the best. Anyway.
Okay. So I think, and I'm trying to figure out if it all worked together, but I stopped going either because I graduated or because I got hit with this beer. So I ordered the Victory Storm King Imperial Stout.
Oh, okay.
And that beer kicked my ass at the time. Kicked my ass. I couldn't do it. It was like motor oil. I had like 4 sips out of it. I'm like, I can't finish this beer. Now, like looking back on it, because I had that beer pseudo recently, I can throw that entire pint back like it's nothing. Yeah. I'm like, oh, it was me. I just couldn't do it. But then I'm like, what the hell was I drinking before that? Like it must have been like nothing. I must have been drinking just Sapporo and Peronis and being really excited that I'm drinking craft beer.
I like a Sapporo now.
Yeah, I love a good Sapporo, especially at hibachi night when you get the onion volcano and you get this 19.2 ounce Sapporo. I'm like,
fucking giant can that seems like way too like sturdy.
And it's got the rigid
hold like a
on the
light.
outside.
Like a fucking light.
It's very top heavy. It'll fall right over.
Yeah.
Very top heavy.
So, question 2.
I thought nobody gets past question 1. Steve.
No. He used to ask the questions all in a row, and everyone would forget after question 1. So now he's broken it out.
You've been drinking for the last hour and a half.
Right.
So
if we ask these questions up front, it might have been different. When I get a jingle and we actually have production value, then we'll actually probably start doing them early.
What's your favorite style of beer?
Okay, so styles. Me and styles.
Harry?
I was having a discussion with Andrew Liberto about styles, and I appreciate styles for what they are. I don't like styles because I feel like it's a box that limits creativity.
Thank you.
I will use it as a framework, and I'm totally fine with saying, okay, this is what people would expect out of this style. But what else can I do with it? It's a jumping off point.
Yep. I used to be the same way. I had to call a beer a certain style because people want to know what the style is. But a lot of times, some of my beers were hybrids of 2 different styles put together. But you had to call it something because you can't just say, oh, it's beer. Like, well, what type of beer? Is it an ale? Is it a lager? Is it a stout porter? It's a beer. Just fucking drink it.
It lends itself to your son just being a wise ass behind the bar. Be like, dude, it's a beer. Just drink it. Come on.
Just drink it. Just fucking drink it. And question number 3, what now would be a go-to beer for you, other than one that you brew, that you kind of, like look for, or you're like, yeah, as soon as you see it, I'm drinking that.
Yeah. Okay. There's actually a couple. So my go-to, if actually pre-COVID, I feel like everyone has to preface pre-COVID. When I would go to a bar, restaurant, and I'm not really thrilled with the tap list. If I see a Two Hearted on, I have to get it.
Okay. Little bells.
Two Hearted, that kind of replaced Guinness for me. It's like it was the same thing. You go to a place, oh, Guinness, yeah, I'll take a Guinness. But now it's like, oh, Two Hearted, I'll take a Two Hearted. Other than that, I love Allagash's Curio. That I think is a beautiful beer. I think that is really well made. And then I wouldn't find it for anywhere on tap, but anything from OEC, you can win me over. You can make me do anything.
Look at
you give me a bottle of that. I will go to Steve's house tonight and feed him Idaho 7. I would feed him pure Idaho. I would give him
Idaho, baby.
Items.
If they do a single hop, you're in.
Oh no, here we go. Here we go.
I'm gonna ferment it in Steve.
No, just in him.
It's gonna kill me and stuff it in my body.
Yeah. I do a butt chug any day. Let's go.
It's like, what would you do for a Klondike bar? What would you do for OEC?
Pretty much anything.
Yeah,
that is a good one to stand behind. Fantastic. I think that is the first time we've heard that one, so that's good. That's unique and good props to them. It's fantastic.
I like the Allagash answer.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm also biased.
Yes, you are.
You know what I've been picking up on a lot lately is the Maine Brewing Company. I've been finding a little lunch and brunch and my favorite Mo from my initials.
Wait, are you off your 60-minute?
Yeah, I haven't had 60 minutes since football season end. That was my football season beer.
You were crushing those.
Oh my God, like nothing. And then, of course, now that I had that Belgian triple, now I'm going to just seek out Belgian triples all day.
Well, that's what I like about Curio. It's like, well, this 9% Belgian triple clearly isn't insane enough. So now we need to stick it in Jim Beam barrels for a good year and bring it up to 11% and call it a whole new beer.
Which is fantastic. Love those elements. Rob, so you've gone through a couple of brews now. What do you have coming up in the next few days? You said you're going to brew another one this week. What else is going to be on the docket?
Yeah, so I want to make a fresh batch of Why Don't We Nuke the Moon? Or What If We Nuke the Moon? That beer is it's a beautiful beer, and it kind of came out of left field for me. I was trying some really experimental techniques and I was like, okay, it's gonna be good, and it surpassed what my expectations were. So I need to brew that beer. I've had several people reach out to me saying, "Oh, where do you have more? Where can you find it?" And
I need it now.
Actually, I did find some. There is some out in the wild. If anybody's looking for that beer, go to Bellport Beer and Soda, Dave's place.
Cold Beer
Dave's
Soda.
The Apache for douchebag.
He's got a couple 4-packs on the shelf. Go grab them.
Really? Wow,
Yeah.
that's a find.
But yeah, you can't really find them anywhere else. So
break
that's
down these techniques you're talking about. What are we talking about? Changing temps, different ingredients. What? Again, don't give away the farm, Rob.
Yeah. Different
One
grain
sheet.
bills.
One.
Different grain bills.
Okay.
Different like composition, different proportions.
Okay.
I've modified a little bit on some hop timing, a little bit of change up on water profile.
And so you're basically pre-treating the water before it comes in?
Not exactly.
Okay. Different sources?
Nope, no. It's just
You're cold. You're cold.
treating it like cheating the minerals of the water itself.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so different pH balance, stuff like that.
Giving it a different minerality.
Okay.
And then also there was something else, but I just forgot it.
Now it's just you've had this recipe, so you're just kind of, varying up different elements of that.
It's not having this recipe; it's more having my approach. I've had an approach to how I make IPAs, and I wanted to change it up. I constantly want to keep flipping the script on myself, because if I get in this framework of, I'm going to keep making IPAs this way, then I'm not going to grow anywhere.
Right.
So I keep trying to challenge myself by reading new material and just experimenting, doing benchtop experimentation, and just try to reinvent, try to keep just moving it forward. And this beer popped out of that, and I'm very happy with how the composition came together. So I need to brew that again. I'm going to brew that again. That's I believe Thursday's brew.
Oh, I'm starting to see why you and Paul get along so well.
Oh yeah.
Fucking A.
We can just go on and on and on. And I think I was telling you guys this on Saturday. I love the way that Paul talks about beer. Nice, Steve.
Yeah. Whole can.
Paul can talk, and if anybody's ever had a conversation with Paul about beer, he can tell you the breakdown of any of the grain bills of any of the beers he's ever brewed. He's like, oh yeah, it's 7 sacks of Optic and this of Maris and this many of this and that, and then he'll tell me about, I brewed this beer like 7 years ago. It's this, this. I don't know anybody else that can do that. I can't. I have to.
How many times does somebody go, hey, what hop is that? And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I used in it. There's hops in it. I don't know anymore.
Yeah. No, Paul is a great guy, and I like to kind of I've said this to Paul several times. I say it to other people. Anybody have seen the movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield?
Fuck yeah.
Fucking great movie.
So you have that scene with Rodney and Sam Kinison. And Rodney does it aside to the camera. He's like, this teacher is
He's really passionate
about what? I have no idea. That's how I get with Paulson. Paul is the most passionate person I've ever met in my life. And he will run and just go and talk to you about malt and this and that. And he is like knocking it out of the park. And then it just gets so overwhelming. You're like, I don't know what's going on.
Where did I end up? It's very true. I mean, we've had him on the show multiple times over the last few years, and it gets to that point where you could just see the passion and the way he speaks about his ingredients and the way he speaks about his process. It's unbelievable.
You almost wait for his head to explode.
Yeah.
I can't get it out fast enough.
100%.
Yeah. So you have that one on schedule, and you said you wanted to have a couple others. What else are you going to try to kind of brew before opening day?
I saved the IPAs to the end. I've got Flirting with Madness has its benefits. That's so if anyone's ever seen that, it's a bright green can. It's kind of got this like leaf design going on it.
I think I have seen that. Yes.
So I've done 2 beers for my girlfriend, and that's one of them. Because I feel like it's a nice nod, because she drives me crazy sometimes, but it's so worth it. So that's That's that nod.
And again, we have not done a formal congratulations on your birth of your child. Congratulations yet again.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's still dawning on me that I have a 1 month old now.
Right.
As of today, actually, she's a month old today.
And that leads me into my next question, which is, you started this brewery literally, in the midst of having a brand new child in the house. This is and you're doing a full-time brew, you're starting a business. How crazy is this time for you right now?
It's insane, but luckily everyone's in the same mindset. We have these. We're looking at it very stoically, where these are the things that have to happen. There's nothing that can change the how we're going about it. So we have no choice other than to do something about it.
Right.
So the brewery is happening.
Yep.
Cool. That's something we've been trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the baby is also happening at the same time.
Yeah.
That's something we've always wanted to do.
Oh, it's happening
now
all
they're
over the
happening at
place.
same time.
Up the back, out of the mouth, all sorts of good stuff.
So we're rolling with the punches, and we're just doing what we need to do, because this is we know what we want in the end, and this is the road that will take us there. So we have no choice but to do it. And luckily everybody's on board. Jill is a trooper.
Mm-hmm.
She I don't know how
she showed up the other day with
Yes.
with grandma and
Mhm.
wait, no, it's nanny. No.
Nanny.
Nanny.
Right, Nanny. Yeah, no, they've been so supportive and helpful with all this, because I feel bad sometimes, having to leave the house, and I want to be there. I want to be helpful to make sure that everything is going right. Make sure that I can be a
We'll get over that
participant in this.
We'll get over that. That'll fade.
He's right.
You'll stop feeling guilty.
Yeah, around 2
You'll
years
still love
old.
your daughter immeasurably, and all of those cliches will all be the same, but you'll stop feeling guilty about sticking your wife with all the responsibilities.
You don't know me yet.
Oh,
then, dude.
You're definitely a good dude. It shines through just by the way you present yourself, obviously. And, of course, by the way you and your girlfriend talk and speak about the baby. And, of course, we were chatting all weekend on Instagram and through us being there and everything. Obviously, your mindset and laser focused on balancing these two. Has that been a real challenge? I mean, obviously, you're with us tonight, and I really appreciate it again. But how is that? Are you in charge at night? What's your schedule like?
Yeah, so no, it's absolutely a challenge, and I mean, I saw Pete at North Fork did the same thing. He started a brewery and had a baby at the same time.
Yeah, it was
and
crazy. I remember that.
And I said I would never do that. Here I am doing the exact same thing. No, it's scheduling is pretty difficult, and honestly, I love my brewery, I love what I'm doing, but family has to come first. It does.
As I said to you,
what you have in the end, and it's what's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I restructure everything that I do with respect to the brewery around what needs to be done for family.
Yeah.
And it's Jill goes way out of her way for me as well, and it's we're a team with all this. So this morning I got to work at 5 a.m. just to make sure that I could get my brew day done, so that I could pick up our other daughter pick her up off the bus.
Yeah.
That was the entire goal. All right, I have to get Dakota off the bus. How do I get her off the bus? I have to make sure my brew day is done.
Yeah, use rice hulls.
Rice hulls, yeah. Luckily, Steve, it got done. If not, it would have been in the tank, and then I would be cleaning the boil kettle tomorrow morning.
The next day, yeah, absolutely.
So
I hear you.
It's been
the scheduling of family and business is such a challenging process. So many people go through it, and I always say, hey, you want to be a brewer? Look what you're going to be faced with. I mean, you're starting up early. Most guys and girls are younger, and they're going to want to start a family at one point, and you're going to have to deal with this at one point, being able to balance both business and pleasure all at the same time. 100%. It was one of those things that, led me in a direction where I went, and saying to myself, hey, part of my reason for wanting to be a teacher in this case is I'll be out early enough so I can get home to get the kids off the bus or to work on it with homework and stuff like that. And that's all stuff that I know you're already probably pre-planning ahead of time, 2 or 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line when she goes to kindergarten, The other one's getting off the bus. You got to do homework with them at 5, 6, 7, 10 years old. It's one of those things that's challenging, but you're up for the task. It sounds like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think anything can be accomplished with enough planning.
Yeah, 100% agree. You run your business like you run your life, right? Everything's planned out. Everything should be on a schedule. You and I were talking about the iCal, and you put it on the calendar and make sure you follow it, and it works well.
Absolutely. I make a plan with somebody, and the first thing in my mouth is, hold on, let me put it on the calendar, because if it doesn't go on there, it's not going to happen.
100%.
And
that
is why, because everything has to be scheduled. And, even, I don't know, I feel like even if I didn't have the kids, it would probably still be very scheduled. So luckily I'm a schedule-oriented person, but it's got to be for their sake, because why, I'm doing the brewery, yes, because I want to, because I love what I'm doing. I'm also doing it for community, but what else is in my community is my family.
Right.
And that's all got to work together somehow. And at the end of the day, it's got to be family.
And you guys live locally, right? You guys live out on the East End?
Yeah, I think that's what makes things a little bit easier. Is I live in Jamesport, like 15 minutes, 13 minutes.
Nice.
From the brewery.
Who's counting?
Right. And is your girlfriend, prior to having, I guess, maternity leave, does she work full-time job as well?
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
She is a physician's assistant.
Yes.
For an orthopedist.
Okay.
Yeah,
so she's going to go back to work at one point. So now you guys got to really have to find a way to balance out.
And the fun begins.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's brilliant. She's going back to work at the end of April. So that's when the real fun begins, or that's when Nanny gets very busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you know what? Nanny seemed to want that.
Yes.
Nanny was very.
She does.
Yeah.
She does. But yet again, like it's difficult to do everything together. So I feel like that everyone said to me my whole life, it's like, oh, you're never ready to have kids. You're never ready to have this.
No, you're not. You're right.
You're not. You're really not. And honestly, if you sit there thinking about like, oh, when am I going to do this? Oh, I got to make sure
never
that
a good time.
It's
ever.
You just do it.
Feet first into the fire.
Yeah, the same thing goes for family or
Pete, your wife watch
business
the
venture.
show?
Yeah, Pete's going to be in a little bit of trouble tonight. Pete has a 1-year-old.
God. Just to give a glimpse into so we're on number 3. We had our recent baby a year ago, right before the pandemic, and it's fucking difficult. Raising kids it's hard, and my wife and I both handle it differently. And I always thought like I'd be the one like cursing in front of the children because like I had foul mouth.
Yes, you do.
Fucking asshole.
A few weeks ago, our kids are all so different, and so we have 2 daughters, and they're polar opposites. And the younger daughter is just Jekyll and Hyde. Fucking, she is either Disney princesses or like I'm worried she's gonna like cut my throat in the middle of the night.
She's
like,
the girl from The Ring.
And there's no in between. It's just those. So my wife was reading a bedtime story a few weeks ago, and sweet little girl asked my wife, like, "Mommy, is shit a bad word?" And it wasn't from me. So that's
from you. I don't believe that.
Because
I don't believe that one bit.
1 second.
Nope.
Your wife is a saint, and she doesn't curse like that.
Man.
Ooh, Rob, what are you drinking right now? That looks dark.
Is it motor
I didn't
oil?
smell that because I took a sip
and
I
you
was
just
about to put it down. And I'm like, no, I want another one of them.
Yeah.
So this is my, I guess my self promotion on this one. This is finally one of my beers.
About time.
Yeah. So this is Finding a New Normal. It's a pastry stout that I did. And this is actually probably about a year aged now in this can.
Nice.
Sweet.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 10%. It's brewed with cocoa nibs, sea salt, and then coconut caramel.
We're using an extract, or we're using
Nope.
everything is caramel.
Everything is straight up.
All right, so honestly, how's it tasting after a year?
Oh, it's freaking great. That's why I did the double sip. I'm like, oh, baby. Awesome. I also took a portion of this and threw it in a bourbon barrel that I released probably, when did I do that? Maybe 4 months ago.
And how much pure Idaho malt is in that beer?
Absolutely. Let me check the label.
Fucker, you beat me to
None.
it. You beat me to
Yeah,
it.
it usually says everything on the label, what's in there. So you'll know when it has the pure Idaho. Are you really going to print that on the new beer that has the pure Idaho in it?
No, I wouldn't, but I might.
I think you have to now.
I'll write it on a Sharpie and give it to you.
Yes, nice.
Yeah, he's gonna write it on his Sharpie and then throw it through my window in my house.
Just drive by like a paper
He's gonna
person.
drive by and whip it through my bay window.
Yeah, how people egg houses. I'm gonna go to Steve's house with his potatoes and start
Full of
chucking
beer
them.
cans.
Rob,
As long as it doesn't bust open, I can drink it. I'm cool.
can you imagine it just like lands on the living room floor and your wife goes, Steve, why is there a potato beer sitting on my living room floor? What is going on? What have you done? Too many collabs, Steven.
Why
Too
are
many.
you drinking potato beers?
They're coming back at us. I thought on Halloween we just get shaving cream and that's it. But now we got potato beers?
Now we got potato beers.
Potato beers.
We don't need it. Rob, listen, you made it through 2 full hours with no interruption. And you were claiming the worst was going to happen, and to us it would have been the best because it would have been a lot of fun to watch you deal with
I
it.
kind of would have liked the screaming
here's
child.
Make us feel better about the things we went through with our children.
Here's why. Serious props to Jill.
Yeah, I was gonna say your wife's a superstar.
If anybody out there is feeling philanthropic, please buy my girlfriend something that has allowed this to happen uninterrupted. She before I even came on, I was like, hey, we're gonna do this quick and then I'll jump in. She's like, no, do this, you're fine, I've got this. And I'm like, you are awesome, thank you, girl. So the only reason this is happening is because Jill is so fucking awesome.
Thanks, Jill.
The next 2 hours of your life are going to be just nightmares. She's going to hand her off to you.
Well, no, I mean,
it's
not nightmarish, but it's.
Well, I mean,
you won't be sleeping till, I don't know, 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah,
you
but
play hard,
thing,
work hard.
None of you have to know about it.
Right.
It's just gonna happen. It's gonna be like a dream.
Rob, I want you to give us the big plug for the brewery. Again, talk about the opening date. Tell us what we're going to have on tap. Give us all the connections where people get in touch with you, follow you on social media, and everything that people need to follow and be on in order to get the latest from Ubergeek.
Wow, that's a lot. All right, I'll try to remember that. So, yes, Ubergeek Brewing Company. Grand opening is April 2nd. That is a Friday. We will have food trucks. We'll have a ton of beer on tap. Probably like 9 different beers.
Yes.
And you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook. The tag is like Ubergeek Brewing or something like that. You'll find it.
Google search it.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, no, we're really excited to have you there. And this is it's a passion project that's coming to fruition. And it couldn't have been done without the help of all of you. This whole thing started through wholesale. And, there's enough of you out there that want it, so we're doing this. And let's just keep rolling this throughout the years. So
fantastic.
Cheers.
Oh.
Rob, really appreciate you being on the show and giving us and devoting us your time away from your family and away from the industry and the brewing process and your business. Thank you so much for hosting us on Saturday. We had a hell of a lot of fun, especially hanging out with everybody and meeting the family. And we really wish you the best of luck. We'll be out there on opening weekend, enjoying everything that you have to offer to the Riverhead community. And again, if people want to get in touch with you, go to Ubergeek Brewing and just go ahead and type into Google search, and they'll find on all the social media, on their website, and all that other good stuff. So thank you very much, sir.
And thank you for having me. You guys are great.
Man.
And this show will be in podcast form, probably starting tomorrow, sometime in the late afternoon, where people can tune in and find out about all the beers and everything that's going on. So check it out on all your favorite podcast platforms. And we're going to get out of here. So, Steve, give us a little dingy about what you got going on there.
My little thingy.
No, I didn't say your little thingy.
Tell us all about it, please.
Give us a little liner like you usually do, because you're a sweet man that has good one-liners.
I wasn't really prepared, but...
Oh, you have something new.
Please be about pure Idaho malt.
Yeah. If you could get pure Idaho, it better be pure Idaho malt.
That's right. Steve, thank you very much. Pete, what do we got?
Don't forget to have your pet spayed or neutered.
That's right. This is The Wort with Mike, Pete, and Steve. GovsRadio.com. Thanks, everyone, for joining us on Instagram, on our Facebook, on our YouTube, and, of course, on our homepage, GovsRadio.com. Check us out and check out all the shows on GovsRadio.com. And we'll see you in 2 weeks for our buddies from Massapequa Park, Motion Brewing Company, going to be on the show. We'll holla.
Well, that's 2 hours of your life that you'll never get back.
Are you kidding me?
Please hang up and try again.
This has been The Wort on Govs Radio. I hope you're drunk enough.